Welcome. I'm Julie Kay, helping you find your way. And today, what I want to help you find your way in is through awareness and some education on one of the big culprits today in our world, especially in the United States, that is causing a lot of people grief. Because I usually talk about grief and have a different subject every time, and some of the things that can help you with your grief and how to process it. And that's really about mental health, and I'm very much about mental health. You'll see I have a NAMI shirt on today. Very proud to be a part of this organization now and moving towards becoming a peer specialist. Did my 4th class today. And so this is very much about mental health. I want to make that clear in that regard, that many people, because of grief and loss and trauma and mental health conditions that they have, are turning to drugs and alcohol and substances to cope, right? To cope, to deal with the pain, to deal with the confusion, the stress, the pain, all of that from mental health conditions. So I want to say that off the bat. But today I want to share one of the big culprits in this nation as to why so many people are grieving and why I went through the worst grief I've ever been in my life. Even though I lost my mom in 2019, when I lost my daughter in 2020 to an overdose on fentanyl and cocaine, it hit me in a whole different way. It changed my life forever. And that's why I'm here to bring awareness, education, and hopefully to prevent more deaths, because it is crazy. So I want to make it clear. What this is about today is about the opioid crisis. That's what it's called commonly, the opioid crisis. But it is an epidemic, y'all. It is the opioid epidemic, rightfully so. In fact, I've heard it called that many times, but it could really be called a pandemic, because pandemic is when it hits lots of countries, but I'm focused on America today, so that's what I want to focus on. Excuse me. So with that, I want to share with you all the opioids. There's many different opioids. There is legal opioids and there are illegal opioids. Okay, so one of the legal ones is Oxycontin, for example, and one of the popular illegal ones is heroin. So the biggest culprit, the most dangerous of all opioids, is fentanyl. This is what my daughter died from, is fentanyl, and I'm going to spell it for you. Fentanyl, fentanyl. Now, I first heard about that, didn't know anything about it until I heard that Toby Mac, who's one of my most respected and enjoyed music artists for many years, his son Truett died of fentanyl. My son told me he died, and I said, what of? And he said it was a drug, and I looked it up, and that's when, for some reason, I felt like I needed to know what this was, how to spell it, and just was the beginning of me knowing the dangerousness of fentanyl. So really, that was not much earlier than I had a conversation with my daughter the last day I talked to her, that I'll ever talk to her. I mentioned about Toby Mac's son dying of fentanyl, and she said she knew and acted as if she would have nothing to do with it. So that's in my speech that I shared that. 2 days later, she too overdosed on fentanyl, and I don't believe she knew it was in there. I believe she thought it was just cocaine, but I won't ever know fully that. But that is a very common problem with fentanyl. So I want to give to you 4 different categories of information today. And I will be having ongoing videos about this. This will be a continuous series. I don't know if it'll be next week, but I am having this ongoing. And this is really important information, so if you've not subscribed to my channel, please do, and share this video out. Everyone needs to know this, and you'll see why as I share these facts. So first of all, I want to share its origins. Now, fentanyl is illegal. It's a legal drug, but it's also used illegally or illicit in many drugs. Okay, so it's both. It was first legalized in the 60s as a sedative, for analgesic, I think is the right way to say it, for surgeries. So it was used as a sedative in the 1960s. That was the beginning of it. And then in 1998 is when it first began to be used as a pain management legal drug. So that's a little of its history. It is legal, but it is mostly used illegally, and its illegal use is what is so dangerous, of course, because legal should be managed, and the amounts should be okay. And so, second of all, its effects. So I want to share about its effects. This is in general what happens is when fentanyl goes into the person's body, it immediately goes to the brain, and it attaches or binds to what is called the opioid receptors in the brain. And I believe that's why they name them opioids, because it's the opioid receptors. All opioids coat and affect that those receptors in the brain. But fentanyl binds to it the most and the quickest of all the other drugs. And then what it does is it binds to the opioid receptors, which are for pleasure, so therefore it creates a very strong high. Therefore it's highly addictive. It's a very quick up high and then a quicker down high, is what I've been told. So that is why, because it's coating that pleasure receptors. But it also coats and binds to the receptors that have to do with your breathing. So that is why people are dying, and you can die, or brain damage or other things can happen to you if you're using fentanyl. So what it does is it slows down breathing, or it can stop the breathing altogether, like it did with my daughter, who went over 10 minutes without oxygen. And therefore she died, because our breathing is like what makes blood flow to our brain, and without blood flow to our brain, we die. So that is just a little bit on that. That's its effects, and again, it's highly addictive, okay? I want to stress that. The third point I want to make today is its potency, okay? It only takes the lethal dose considered to kill somebody is 2 milligrams, only 2 milligrams. That is a small amount. Now I'm going to give you two different other opioid drugs that I'm going to compare it to fentanyl. So fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin. Fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin. And morphine, comparing it to morphine, fentanyl is 100 times stronger than morphine. And heroin, again, is an illegal opioid, and morphine is usually a legal one. So that's just to give you a little idea how much stronger it is. It's very potent. So it only takes a little bit to get high or to die. That's a phrase that I've come up with. It only takes a little bit to get high or to die. That is part of why it is so dangerous, is its potency. Okay? And my fourth area that I want to talk about is its impact. So first of all, it is even very dangerous to touch, which of course to touch it can get absorbed through the skin. Because it's so potent again, and it doesn't take much, it can get through the skin, cause a lot of different problems. It can cause a person to just be sedated, which is, I'm sure, the amount that they use normally, or unconscious, or comatose, or death. So those are the different, approximate levels that it can do. This is another example. My daughter's boyfriend, I found out after she died, he had several charges of what they call reckless endangerment, because when policemen came into his presence and found out he had fentanyl, they were risking their lives just to come into the presence of fentanyl. So they charged him because of how dangerous fentanyl is. I hope y'all are getting this. People are being charged. One charge, that people can get by having fentanyl is called reckless endangerment. Maybe other names, that's in the state of Tennessee where she died, just by being in the presence of fentanyl. You might have heard other stories of people dying from that. And let me go on to the next point. So it's very cheap, and it's very simple to make. Usually made in China, sent to Mexico, then brought here. Not going to go into that big time right now, but it's made even here in America, some places. Again, it's very cheap and very simple to make. So, if you know any of this, you probably can surmise what I might say next. The dealers are adding this into with other drugs, commonly cocaine, like with my daughter, commonly heroin, but all kinds of drugs, because it is, what does it do? It increases their profits. It increases their profits, and second of all, it increases the high. Therefore, it causes them more likely to keep coming back for the drug and more likely to be addictive. So this is what's going on all over the place with all kinds of drugs. So my next point is it's in almost everything right now. It's being put in everything, from those strong drugs, like I said, cocaine and heroin, to yes, marijuana, and yes, prescription drugs, definitely, and yes, even vaping. So that shocked me when I found out they were even putting it in vaping or vapes. And if you all are educated in that, maybe even more than me, you might understand why. But this is so important, y'all get this. Fentanyl is being added to everything. So my last point under that is that many people don't know that they're taking it. They don't know maybe that they're even touching it. They don't know they're coming in contact with it. They don't know it's in their prescription drugs. They don't know it's in their vaping. They don't know it's in their marijuana. They don't know it's in their anything. And so they're not choosing it. Many times they're not aware of it's in the mix. And that's a big reason why people are dying, because they don't know. So that is anywhere from a child putting their hand into their mom's bag out of curiosity and touching it, and therefore possibly dying or getting sick or possibly dying, and that is happening for factual. I know somebody whose 4-year-old died from that, all the way up to 80-year-olds, maybe and older than that probably, who have been using drugs for a lot of their life, go to the same dealer, but the dealer doesn't know it's in the mix, and they don't know that they're taking it, and they die, even though they've somehow been able to live for many years as an addict, as a person who has a substance use condition is the more proper term today. So that is all reasons why fentanyl is so dangerous. I hope you watch this again, listen to it again, share this video out. Please share this video out. Please give me comments of what you learned today from it, maybe that you didn't know. If you think of something else that is factual, chime in on that. I'm going to hold off on the signs of an opioid overdose for the next video, and then what to do if you come on somebody who you think might have had an overdose. So stay tuned. I'm going to keep informing you all. I am in the community sharing this in the school system now, and I also am sharing it in colleges. It is so important. This message needs to get out to every single person so that they can share it with others, possibly save a life, bring awareness to everyone that they know, and hopefully not even touch drugs, because it's super dangerous no matter where you even go into a party. Watch what you drink, okay? So this is Julie K helping you find your way to life, right? Life, to survival and life, so that we don't have more overdoses, and success and fulfillment. That's the way I want to lead everyone on. So God bless you. Signing off for the next video. Bye-bye.